This is Philly with the Deepdive podcast, and today we're going to be talking about the Lost Order. Background. The Civil War should have been an easy and quick victory for the North. They had almost all of the factories in the United States. They also had approximately double the army of the South. But despite these advantages, the North started out the war with massive losses. Despite their massive army, many soldiers in the North were inexperienced compared to the Southern soldiers from the Mexican-American War. The army had also lost some major battles, such as Fort Sumter, the first battle of the Civil War. But this all changed in 1862 with the discovery of a piece of paper. Part 1. This piece of paper happened to be the Lost Order. In the midst of the Maryland Campaign, General Robert E. Lee issued Order 191 on September 9, 1862, while his army was camped on Best Farm. There were copies made of the order for each of Lee's commanders, one of them being lost. The lost copy was meant for Major General Daniel Hill, but he had already received the orders from Major General Thomas Jackson, so he didn't know that he was sent a copy from Lee's camp. The order was lost. Just how it was lost still remains a mystery. But on September 13th, members of Company F, Indiana Volunteer Infantry, were camped on an old Confederate camp and found the order in a wheat field under a locust tree wrapped around 3 cigars. This order was sent up the chain until it reached George McClellan, the leading Northern general at the time. Part 2. Order 191 was not a small order about one battle. It had information about the movements of multiple officers and orders for multiple crucial battles, the most important of which was the Battle of Antietam. Antietam is a creek in southwest Pennsylvania. This is where the battle took place. The North was losing severely and needed a major win. This win came in form of the Battle of Antietam. Antietam was the first battle of the Civil War on Union soil. It was also the bloodiest day in U.S. history, with 23,000 casualties, including wounded people. This battle finally allowed the North to feel like they were winning. This victory also gave the North confidence to start going on the offensive. It convinced the North citizens that they hadn't lost, and they still had hope to win. So what did this do for the course of the war? Part 3. Before the Battle of Antietam, the North lost many major battles, including Fort Sumter, the First Bull Run, and Second Bull Run. This battle had much wider effects than giving just the North a feeling of purpose. Not only did the North feel like the tides were turning, so did the British. The British relied on cotton production from the South, and the war stifled this production completely. Without the win in Antietam, it's very possible the British and other European countries would have stepped in to help the South. On top of that, the North had started to lose support. Many in the North were not even supporting the war to begin with. And without this major battle, the North might have had to pull out of the war entirely. This victory also gave Lincoln the confidence to release the Emancipation Proclamation, this being what ultimately gave the North a real reason to fight. Conclusion. Without the plans of Antietam being discovered and ultimately the North winning the war, the whole world would be wildly different. If the slave states won, regions of the U.S. could have seceded. Many other regions of the contiguous U.S. could have followed in the footsteps of the slave states and broken away to become independent nations. Europe is only slightly larger than the contiguous United States, so it wouldn't be unreasonable to have countries within the area that the U.S. is today. Another effect of the South winning would be that slavery would have lasted much longer throughout the Americas, even into the 20th century. We still would have eventually gotten rid of slavery because many countries had already abolished slavery before the Civil War even started, Britain abolishing it over 2 decades before we did. All in all, life in the U.S. would be wildly different, and we, as a whole, would be completely different people.